The rain was pouring hard that night, turning the quiet city street into a shimmering river of neon lights and shadows. Most people had already rushed home, hiding from the storm. But in a dark alley behind a luxury restaurant, something terrible was about to happen. 3 men surrounded a woman who could barely stand straight. Her expensive dress was soaked, her heels slipped on the wet pavement, and fear filled her blurred eyes. The men moved closer, their intentions dark and cruel. Just as one of them grabbed her arm, a voice cut through the rain like thunder. A man stepped forward, calm but determined, placing himself between the woman and the attackers. That man was Daniel Carter, a tired single father who had just finished his late-night shift. Before we continue this powerful story, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to the channel if you believe that even one brave act can change a life forever. Daniel wasn't a hero in the eyes of the world. He was just a mechanic who worked long hours to raise his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Since his wife passed away 3 years ago, life had been a constant struggle. Every morning he packed Lily's lunch, walked her to school, and then spent the day fixing cars in a noisy garage. Every night he returned home exhausted but still found the energy to help her with homework and read bedtime stories. Money was always tight, bills were always waiting, and sometimes Daniel wondered how long he could keep everything together. But one thing never changed, his promise to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. That night, he had taken a shortcut through the alley on his way to the bus stop. When he saw the men surrounding the woman, his heart immediately started racing. The smart thing would have been to keep walking. Those men were bigger than him, and there were 3 of them. But Daniel remembered Lily's innocent face and the promise he made to himself, to always do the right thing, no matter how hard it was. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and told the men to leave her alone. The attackers laughed at first. Rain dripped from their jackets as they mocked the tired mechanic standing in their way. But Daniel didn't move. The tension in the alley grew heavy as thunder rolled across the sky. One of the men shoved Daniel, expecting him to back down. Instead, Daniel pushed back. The fight that followed was messy and chaotic. Daniel wasn't trained for combat, but years of hard work had made him strong. He took a punch to the cheek, another to the ribs, but he refused to fall. Finally, after several painful moments, the men realized this wasn't worth the trouble. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance, and they ran into the darkness, leaving Daniel and the trembling woman behind. For a moment, the alley was silent except for the rain. Daniel leaned against the wall, catching his breath. His lip was bleeding and his knuckles burned, but the woman was safe. She looked at him with wide, confused eyes. The alcohol still clouded her mind, but gratitude slowly replaced the fear in her expression. Daniel simply helped her steady herself and called a taxi. He didn't ask her name. He didn't wait for thanks. To him, it was just the right thing to do. When the taxi disappeared into the rain, Daniel quietly continued his walk home. The next morning, life returned to normal. Daniel woke Lily up for school, made pancakes that were slightly burnt, and rushed out the door before he could be late for work. His body still ached from the fight, but he didn't complain. At the garage, engines roared and grease covered his hands as usual. No one there knew about the alley or the woman he had saved. And honestly, Daniel didn't expect anyone ever would. But across the city, the woman from the alley woke up in a luxury penthouse with a pounding headache and a strange memory of a stranger who had protected her. Her name was Victoria Hale, the CEO of one of the most powerful technology companies in the country. Normally she was confident, sharp, and always in control. But the night before had been different. After a stressful business deal and too many drinks at a company celebration, she had wandered outside alone. The memory of those men closing in on her made her shiver. Yet what stayed in her mind the most was the man who had stood between her and danger without expecting anything in return. Victoria was used to people helping her because of her wealth and influence. But that man in the alley had no idea who she was. He had simply chosen courage over fear. Determined to find him, she ordered her security team to track down the mysterious hero. After reviewing cameras around the restaurant area, they finally discovered his identity. Daniel Carter. A mechanic. A widowed single father. 2 days later, while Daniel was under a car tightening bolts, a black luxury car slowly pulled up outside the garage. Everyone in the shop stopped working as a sharply dressed woman stepped out, surrounded by the quiet presence of professional security guards. Daniel looked up, confused, wiping grease from his hands. Victoria walked toward him with calm determination. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Daniel barely recognized the elegant woman standing in front of him as the same frightened figure from the rainy alley. But Victoria never forgot his face. What happened next shocked everyone in that small garage. Instead of simply thanking him, Victoria publicly announced something no one expected. She offered Daniel a life-changing opportunity. She had recently started a foundation to support hardworking single parents who struggled to build a better future. After learning Daniel's story and seeing his courage, she wanted him to lead one of her new community programs, helping struggling parents learn technical skills and find stable jobs. The mechanics in the garage stood frozen in disbelief. Daniel himself could hardly understand what was happening. He had never imagined someone like Victoria Hale would even know his name, let alone trust him with such responsibility. At first, Daniel hesitated. He wasn't a businessman. He wasn't educated in fancy universities. He was just a mechanic trying to raise his daughter. But Victoria saw something deeper in him. She saw integrity. She saw courage. And she saw the kind of compassion that couldn't be taught in boardrooms. Slowly, Daniel accepted. Months later, the small program grew into something extraordinary. Dozens of struggling parents found stable work through the training Daniel helped create. Families who once lived paycheck to paycheck finally found hope. And every evening, Daniel still came home to Lily, proud that her father had become someone who helped others stand back on their feet. The rainy night that once seemed like a random act of courage had quietly changed many lives. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a reminder that kindness still exists, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this. And before the story ends, here is a special request for you. Comment the word kindness below if you believe one brave decision can change someone's entire life. Because sometimes the greatest heroes aren't famous, rich, or powerful. Sometimes they are just ordinary parents walking home through the rain, choosing courage when it matters most. Red Heart.